Breaking news! The Ravens may be about to make their boldest move of the season, and it's not just about filling a roster spot. We're talking about a potential overhaul that could redefine this team's identity. But what exactly is happening behind closed doors at the castle? Why is John Harbaugh suddenly dropping trade hints? And what unexpected name could walk through those doors next week wearing purple and black? But before we break it all down, be sure to like this if you're a true Ravens fan. It's always amazing to see fans of all ages cheering for this team. And if you'd like, comment go, Ravens. Right now, we want to hear from the entire flock. Let's get into it. The injury report alone looks like a roster sheet. Lamar Jackson, Ronnie Stanley, Roquan Smith, Nate Wiggins, Marlon Humphrey, Patrick Ricard, Chidobe Awuzie, Devontae Walker, Kyle Van Noy, Travis Jones, and the one glaring omission, defensive anchor Nnamdi Bektik, not because he's healthy, but because he's gone for the year. Out, done, and that single loss may be the most devastating of all. A season-ending blow to arguably the Ravens' most dominant presence on the interior defensive line, a guy who started 2025 like a wrecking ball. This team is in survival mode. You don't need to be an analyst to feel it. The vibes are off. The defense? Bottom tier in the league. John Harbaugh? He's talking trades. When asked if the Ravens would look at bolstering the defensive line in the wake of Bektik's injury, his answer was clear. It's always something that'll be on the table for sure. That's coach speak for yes. If the right deal is there, Baltimore is picking up the phone. Let's rewind a second. Nnamdi Bektik wasn't just a guy on this line. He was the guy. Through the first 2 games, he racked up a sack in each contest, logged 9 QB pressures, and posted eye-popping quarterback pressure rates, 15.6% against Buffalo, 11.8% versus Cleveland. That's elite. That's disruptive. That's what gets offensive coordinators staying up at night. And now that's gone. So the question becomes, what's next? Enter Jeffrey Simmons, currently with the Tennessee Titans. If there's one name on the market that feels like a true plug-and-play answer for this defensive front, it's him. A proven monster in the trenches, Simmons brings everything you want: elite pass rush productivity, stout run defense, and experience anchoring a unit. Through just 4 games this year, he's already logged 14 tackles, 12 solo, 5 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, and 4 run stuffs. His PFF pass rush grade? 90.2, second best among all defensive tackles. Here's why this makes sense beyond just the numbers. The Titans are in free fall and likely sellers at the deadline. Simmons won't come cheap, but not prohibitively expensive either. Potentially a 2026 third-round pick gets it done. That's a small price for a game changer. And yes, there's a cap hit. He's making $23.5 million annually through 2026. But with 2 years left on that deal and potential for extension, it's manageable if the Ravens believe he can turn this ship around. Do you take that swing? Is Simmons worth that kind of risk right now? The truth is, Baltimore is out of time for patience. This team has tried holding onto draft picks. They've tried waiting for development. It's not working. They need impact now. Another, perhaps more budget-friendly option? Shelby Harris. He's not the headliner that Simmons is, but Harris offers efficient production in a rotational role, and that's something this team desperately needs. With only 91 snaps played this year, his 72.5 overall grade and impressive 75.9 run defense score show that he's still bringing it. No, he won't change the identity of the defense by himself, but this is about survival, keeping bodies fresh, having someone to hold the line while young guys like ISP try to find their legs. Harris won't cost a day 2 pick. He might be available for far less, and that might be enough to steady the boat until reinforcements come back. But if we're talking dreams, if we're talking splash, there's only one name that fits that bill: Dexter Lawrence. Sexy Dexy. The New York Giants aren't just bad, they're rudderless. They've already shuffled quarterbacks and continue to spin in chaos. And if they believe a teardown is inevitable, Lawrence could be available for the right price. What would that cost? Think first rounder, maybe a 4th. But look at the resume. Over the past 3 seasons, 106 tackles, 16 for loss, 13.5 sacks. In 2024 alone, 9 sacks in 12 games, 44 tackles. He's not just dominant, he's consistent. He's what Baltimore hasn't had inside since the days of Ngata. The presence, the leadership, the tone setter. And let's be honest, there's a culture gap on this defense. Harbaugh used to talk about playing like a Raven. Who are those guys now? Roquan Smith? Sure. Maybe Kyle Hamilton. But who else brings that identity every single snap? Simmons and Lawrence could. They might even wake it up in others. Now, here's where things get critical. This isn't just about numbers anymore. This is about urgency. The Ravens are teetering on the edge. A loss to Houston? That might be the tipping point that forces the front office's hand. That game against the Los Angeles Rams? Must win. And without new blood in the trenches, it's hard to imagine Baltimore standing tall against elite offenses in back-to-back weeks. Let's keep it going. We've already covered 3 serious interior defensive line targets in Jeffrey Simmons, Shelby Harris, and Dexter Lawrence. But if you think the Ravens trade possibilities end there, you're wrong. This team is hurting across the board. It's not just the trenches. The entire depth chart looks like it got caught in a war zone. That's why GM Eric DeCosta may have to go deeper into his bag if this team wants to stay in the playoff race. So let's talk about 4 additional trade targets that could reshape not just the defensive front, but other weak points Baltimore can't afford to ignore. Starting with one name that should be getting a lot more attention, Tariq Woolen. Yes, a cornerback. Yes, from the Seattle Seahawks. And yes, reportedly on the market. The rumor started circulating after an Ian Rappaport report suggested that Seahawks GM John Schneider leaked interest in dealing Woolen. And here's the thing, this isn't smoke. With Marlon Humphrey still sidelined for multiple weeks, Nate Wiggins' status up in the air, and no firm confidence in Jalen Armour-Davis holding down the fort, Woolen could be the answer Baltimore needs on the perimeter. He's got the size, he's got the speed, and, most importantly, he's got experience. Baltimore can't rely on a cornerback room that looks like it's being patched together with duct tape. Getting someone like Woolen, even if just for the short term, could help the secondary stabilize while waiting for reinforcements. You don't want Kyle Hamilton covering slot receivers. You want him roaming, and that only happens if the outside coverage holds up. Now let's move to the middle, because it's clear this linebacker group is not the same without Roquan Smith. Enter Demario Davis. Let's get the obvious out of the way. He's 36. He's a vet. He's got mileage. But don't get it twisted, Davis is still playing at a high level. The instincts? Still sharp. The tackling? Still strong. The leadership? Unquestionable. And this is where the value really shines. Trenton Simpson needs a mentor. Teddy Buchanan needs a mentor. Davis doesn't just fill a gap. He lifts the entire linebacker unit. He's not a long-term solution, but he might be the perfect short-term fix. This defense needs voices, not just talent. Voices. Guys who know where to be. Guys who don't miss assignments. Guys who bark pre-snap and get everyone lined up right. You lose Roquan and suddenly everyone's guessing. Davis would bring clarity. Now, let's not forget the offensive side of the ball. While all eyes are on the defense, this O-line hasn't exactly been elite either. That's why Trevor Penning, former first-round pick of the Saints, is an intriguing target. Now to be clear, Penning isn't a tackle at the next level. He's got the build, but not the technique to anchor the edge consistently. But he could be an answer inside at guard, which is where Baltimore needs help. The idea here isn't to get an all-pro, it's to find a guy who just needs a defined role. Get him out of the mess in New Orleans, plug him in at right guard, give him one job, and let him develop in a better culture. This isn't about finding a superstar. It's about patching the dam, and Penning could absolutely help with that. Lastly, a wild card, Kyle Duggar. The Patriots' safety might seem like a luxury move, but consider this, Malachi Starks, the team's highly touted first-rounder, is struggling. Not just with consistency, with confidence. And while no one wants to give up on a rookie this early, Baltimore can't wait for him to grow into the role if the mistakes keep piling up. Duggar would give this team a steady hand on the back end, a tone setter, and another weapon in coverage and against the run. Now, this one is delicate. You don't want to derail Stark's development. You don't want to stunt what could be a franchise-level player at safety. But the film doesn't lie. The mistakes are piling up. And you can't afford blown coverages in a division race this tight. Duggar might just be the safety net this team needs, literally and figuratively. So now the table's set. 7 possible targets. 7 possible solutions. From elite-level talents to plug-and-play reinforcements. But here's the question looming over it all. Will the Ravens actually pull the trigger? It's one thing to talk about trade options. It's another to make the call. Baltimore has historically been caught